Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Naruto book review, light novel. This one's going to be for Naruto Shikamaru's story, the second of these light novels, and this one is specifically the story is called A Cloud Drifting in the Silent Dark. And yeah, written by Takashi Yano, and of course Masashi Kishimoto is somewhat involved here because it is considered, these books are considered canon. Yeah, this is, as I said, the second one. It is set just a little bit after Kakashi's story because obviously that was about Kakashi fully accepting his role as the sixth Hokage. In this, Kakashi is very clearly the sixth Hokage and has been in place for a little while, and this is a mission that Shikamaru goes on. So yeah, the blurb at the back is 2 years after the Great Ninja War, Shikamaru spends his days racing around, hands full as one of Konoha's key protectors. Then, large numbers of ninja from every region are reported missing. Even Sai disappears. And the place where the missing shinobi end up is the mysterious empire, the Land of Silence. As a ninja, as an adult, to protect all he is responsible for, Shikamaru must do battle with the shadow of a new generation. So overall, I really like this book. Shikamaru is one of my favorite characters, just like Kakashi is probably my favorite Naruto character. So they've chosen two really good kind of title characters for the first two books. And what I like about this so much is that the writer just, I think, really gets, understands, and can write Shikamaru well as a character. The first section of this book, where we're in the Leaf Village and we're kind of setting up for the mission, and you're in Shikamaru's head a lot, is so well done. It was so interesting to get an insight into this character's head because he is like one of those characters where even from the manga we've seen into his head probably more than most because of the style of his character. He's so intelligent, so intelligent and strategic with the plans, and just to see how he sees the world now and the kind of differences that there are there. And I think what's so interesting about Shikamaru is that he is one of the characters who kind of has the most little bits of things set up for him. Just these connections to all these kind of different groups of characters, and it kind of highlights how important of a character he is. Like, just in the first section of the book, they touch a little bit on with obviously they touch on his relationship with Kakashi as he's kind of like training, I suppose, a little bit with Kakashi to be an advisor so he can ultimately assist Naruto when he becomes the next Hokage, because that's kind of Shikamaru's main kind of goal. That's what he wants to accomplish after what happened in the war. He wants to be the advisor that helps Naruto, and there's a great section of this book where he kind of explains in detail the way he sees Naruto and kind of what he wants to do in that way. That he sees Naruto as a son, so and there's he shines so brightly, and there's so much shadows around him that no shadow ever touches Naruto. Even if he doesn't see the shadows, he always kind of he still shines brightly, but there are those shadows there, and Shikamaru kind of wants to be the one to kind of help Naruto and kind of tackle the shadows that break through or whatever. Like, it's a cool description that, Shikamaru, the guy whose techniques involve shadows, he's going to be the one to assist Naruto with the kind of those type of thing. It's basically saying that Naruto is an optimist. He tends to see the good in people, even if there kind of really isn't any, and Shikamaru is willing to tackle the people that I suppose Naruto's optimism can't really deal with. So that's really cool. Then obviously you have little moments with Ino and Choji, of course his old teammates, but they're not in the book a massive amount. Then, of course, you have, he goes to visit his father's grave at a point in the book. At the same time, he goes to visit Asuma's grave. And then you get the connection that he has to Kurenai and Asuma and Kurenai's child, Mirai, who's about 3 years old, I think they say in this book. And that's really interesting, because that's another one of those things. Like, he actually has a lot of goals right now. And that's the big contrast in this book, that Shikamaru from the start of the series, and even mentions it here. Like, I used to be this sort of guy who would always talk about everything being a drag, just wanting to live the lazy life and be an average ninja, live an average life, get married to an average woman, have just normal kids, and retire perfect. That's all he ever wanted. But by the end of the war, he kind of actually really wants to do a lot of kind of more important stuff. He's in an important role in the Allied shinobi forces. He's considered like a kind of center point of that in a way. He has this role with Kakashi in the Leaf Village. He wants to help Naruto. He wants to eventually be Mirai's teacher, as kind of Asuma kind of his last wishes kind of were. Um, and then he also has these connections to obviously the sand through Tamari and that developing relationship, and that gives him somewhat of a relationship with Gara. And it's just, I think it's just really well done. It highlights the character and how important he is in our kind of batch of kind of Naruto's kind of era characters. Um, so I suppose, what do I want to cover first? There's a lot going on here. As I said, the main plot of this book is that they start to get reports that shinobi are going missing, and the key thing that really starts it off is that they get a message back from Sai, who is the one in the first place investigating the Land of Silence and the missing shinobi. And he basically says, look, there's some serious stuff going on in the Land of Silence. This is absolutely where it's going down. But then the end of his message is very confusing in that it's like, he talks about the leader of the Land of Silence, Gengo, and he talks about how amazing of a person he is, and how he's kind of beginning to see something in him, to the point where like it sounds to Kakashi and Shikamaru like he's brainwashed, and they're kind of like, he only sent a message back when he could have returned back. He's obviously there and potentially captured, and he mentions in the letter that the other people he went with have also been taken or potentially killed. So it basically comes down to the situation where they have to take out the leader of the Land of Silence, and so there's an assassination mission, and Shikamaru kind of out of nowhere offers to do this himself. And this shocks Kakashi, who is like, really? You want to do it? Someone who's so important to the Allied shinobi forces, the Leaf Village, you're the one who wants to do it? And to some extent, it's him kind of saying like, okay, I'll do this. Sai's my friend. It'll be an escape from all this kind of pressure that's on me here. And he just agrees to do it. The problem obviously comes in here is that the thing that they try to develop with Shikamaru here is that he takes this burden on himself. He basically says, okay, me, and just give me 2 Black Ops members, and the 3 of us will go into the Land of Silence, save everyone, and take them out. He doesn't tell the Allied shinobi forces or anyone else in the village, really. He specifically, Tamari notices something's up with him next time they meet, and he doesn't tell her what's going on, and she gets very angry at him. It's a big moment. And I suppose, speaking of his relationship with Tamari, it's interesting how they approach that here, because they're obviously, to some extent, the scenes here are romantic. Like 1 or 2 of them are. Other ones, not so much. But I think the thing with all of them is that it is clear that they are close, but not all of the scenes here are the goal of being like cute romantic scenes. There is those moments, like towards the end of the book, after the mission is over, Tamari has come in and helped Shikamaru accomplish his mission. Now that she's realized what was actually going on, that he's not really keeping anything from her. He does ask her out on a date, and it seems like this is kind of the first time there's been something like inherently romantic between the two. Like, they've been close and hanging out a lot, but them being, boyfriend, girlfriend, and like asking each other on dates, you really get the sense that Shikamaru doing this is like the first time that's kind of, this has happened. So it's a big moment, and even Shikamaru is kind of like, I'm not really sure why I did that, because I know Tamara is probably going to make fun of me for doing this because it's so outside of what I usually do, but I did really want to. And you start to see some of that coming in, because another bit of this book is it's kind of highlighting Shikamaru going from kind of teenager to adult, because you have this thing back and forth with him and Kakashi where they talk about, what does it mean to be an adult? And ultimately, I don't think it really progresses all that much. in that it just shows that Shikamaru has kind of matured a little bit over the course of the story, but I don't think it really adds or means anything all that much. But it's just him taking up a more important role, I suppose, Shikamaru. Um, but back to Tamari and Shikamaru, they do end the book with a paragraph set in the future where Shigadai is born. You just get this one paragraph, just a couple of lines, nothing lengthy, of just the child is born. Shikamaru's just like, oh, looks like me. And then Tamari's kind of like, what do you think we should name him? And he's like, what a drag. Like, the joke of just that he finds everything a little bit of a chore, even naming his own child. So that's the kind of funny bit at the end that we do get to see. Yeah, I was a little surprised that they didn't, I suppose, hit home the romance stuff a little bit more in the book. I'll go back to Shikamaru in a minute, but there is another bit of romance as well. There's some slight references to Naruto and Hinata kind of dating, but it's only like one line or two. Sakura mentions that she has Sasuke, but like nothing more than that is really mentioned. The main one, though, is basically what I consider to be the first real hints of Ino and Sai getting together, because of course Sai is the main character who is captured, who they're trying to save here, and towards the end of the book, a lot of the Leaf Village and Sand Shinobi do come in to help out, including Ino. And Ino helps Sai get out of his brainwashing by using her, mind transfer technique on him, and basically kind of pulling him out of the genjutsu that he was effectively under to control him. And when he does this, they wake up, and I suppose while it's happening as well, I forgot to mention this, Ino kind of talks about how she sees Sai, in that she kind of, obviously we saw from Naruto Shippuden that she is in fact, to some extent attracted to him. She thought he was cute when he first kind of came into the series, but nothing really happened beyond like a couple of little moments. And here we get this idea that in a more serious sense, she wished that she had talked to him a lot more, and that she makes a kind of effort to say, I will, get to know him more after this. And when she does save him, and they actually get to talk to each other face to face, there is this kind of nice moment where they both kind of smile to each other. And I think Ino had referenced the fact that a lot of the times Sai smiles, but there's no emotion behind it. Whereas when he smiles to her, it is actually a meaningful smile, that there actually means something. And he references the moment from Shippuden, of course, when he says, hello, beautiful, with the kind of joke about the fact that he mistakenly gives people nicknames that are like the opposite of what they are, but I think he actually does find beautiful. So nice little cute moment between the two of them, just establishing that they're getting closer, but no obvious, like no huge moment, but it was just a subtle thing that I did really quite like, showing where these relationships, which in the main series don't really get touched on all that much, where they come from. I suppose back to Shikamaru and what he's up to. The two Shinobi Anbu members of the Leaf that he takes with him are two new characters. Their names are Ro and, is it Soka? Let me just check the character page here. Soku, S-O-K-U, and Ro. So Ro is a 30-something-year-old man, and then Soku is a 14-year-old girl. And the reason that these are the two that go Shikamaru is because they have the skills perfect for their mission. So the idea here is that Shikamaru has basically said, like, this is an assassination mission. We are going to take out the leader of the Land of Silence. I'm going to be the one to hold him in place while someone masks my chakra, and then someone delivers the blow. So Ro is the guy who can master their chakra. His power is that he can, without actually doing so, he can make it appear as if someone either has no chakra, very limited chakra, or super enhanced chakra. But it actually doesn't actually exist. It doesn't actually make a person more powerful. So for this mission, the main idea would be to mask chakra, though they do use it later on to enhance chakra. Soku's power is that she has this technique called chakra needle, where she can kind of aim at something and point two fingers, and then basically send this tracking needle of chakra that, if she wants to, can kill something, or can be super accurate and sever chakra network paths around the body to stop various chakra things happening. So she was the one who was going to kill in the end. And now with these two characters, the thing is that they give them the kind of gimmicks of having unusual speech kind of quirks. So with Soku, she inserts the word like into a lot of her sentences. So she's like, like the whole thing that a lot of people, the way they speak now, do. They use the word like a lot. I probably do it at times as well. But it's emphasized a whole lot more with her. Ro, on the other hand, speaks in a at times very formal and overly complex way. It's kind of hard to describe, but like instead of saying my chakra, he would say stuff like, and they talked about mine chakra. This really really formal kind of old way of speaking, but it's still quite good. There's a nice back and forth between him and those two, because obviously he's the leader, but he's got an older character with him and a younger character with him, but they're both skilled in their own ways, but they're not really focused on all that much apart from the initial interactions, because after that the book really accelerates once they actually their mission gets underway and they arrive in the land of silence. Everything gets very, very quick paced, in that the assassination attempt happens almost instantly. They very quickly are just like, boom, let's capture some people, let's get some clothing, let's mask ourselves, go undercover. He comes out to give a speech, and assassination attempt happens, fails, everyone's captured, and that's kind of the key part of the book. The other thing would be obviously that they set up this idea of, why are all these rogue ninja going missing, but when they arrive there, seemingly it's like they are deserting their home nation and siding with Gengo in the land of silence, that they are siding with him, and when they arrive there, it's revealed that they are revolutionaries, that it's all these ninja that he's bringing together to fight against what he sees as the problem in the world, and that people are discriminating against shinobis because they have powers. Because the villain in this book, what he wants to do is basically have it so that the feudal lords, who are the rulers of the world, of course, are no longer in play, because the feudal lords don't have chakra, they're not ninja, and the way he sees it, this villain guy, is that why is it that the most powerful people in the world, the shinobi, are put in these hidden villages? Why aren't we the actual rulers of the world because we're so powerful? A lot more would get done if we were in charge, as opposed to these feudal lords who we happen to protect and all this sort of stuff. So that's the main ideal that he has. But the way he accomplishes this and getting everyone on his side is that he's revealed to have the unique power of being able to put people under genjutsu using his words. So he gives a lot of speeches and talks a lot. And it's later revealed that he can, by manipulating chakra on his tongue, add chakra to his words and basically have people under a genjutsu. So when Shikamaru, Ro, and Soku are about to take him out, they try to take him out during one of his speeches, but he's already started speaking, and so they're already under his genjutsu. And what happens is that Ro and Soku are basically taken over, like they begin to side with him, whereas a lot of the middle section of this book is focused on Shikamaru resisting the genjutsu and not siding with him. And like just as as his will is about to crack, that's when Tamari and everyone else shows up and the real fight is on. And there are some really cool fights in this book, absolutely. I think if this book was to get animated, I think there'd be some very cool fights involving Shikamaru, involving the unique powers of the two Anbu that are with him. Tamari would get a chance to fight again, and even like Naruto shows up at the end, and there's a big fight between all of the kind of brainwashed shinobi, and then the arrival of a lot of sand ninja and leaf shinobi. So there could be a pretty cool battle scene if this was done in the anime. It obviously has this slight problem of it tries to be overly descriptive during the fight scenes, and it's at times a little hard to visualize, in that it gets quite complex at times. Like, um, Shikamaru grasps his opponent's like left wrist using his right hand, and then flipped right ways over his hand and ended up in this position. As kind of like, wait, what did he do? And so, if they were to visually, obviously, animate that, I think it would be come across a lot clearer. But not to really overly criticize the action scenes here, in that for the most part they're clear, but there are a few times when it gets a little bit overly kind of like, what are you trying to say here? Um, but yeah, the end fight scene between Shikamaru and Gengo is pretty cool. You have Shikamaru using a lot of shadow clones in addition to his own kind of techniques. Because most of the he's kind of limited in that most of the final battle takes place in a pitch black room, and Gengo's using a sword, and because there's no light, there's actually no shadows for him to manipulate because it's just black. So he has to kind of dodge and use shadow clones, and he's Shikamaru is quite powerful in this, and clever in some of the stuff he does. But eventually, he manages to capture the enemy, and he doesn't kill him, which I think is the key thing. They do manage to capture him, and it's quite well done actually, and you know that's I suppose that's most of the story really covered. Because obviously a lot of the there's a lot of the middle section of this book, which is basically just a conversation between Gengo and Shikamaru, as Gengo tries to lure Shikamaru over to his side of things, but later on it's revealed that he's just talking to him a lot to try and get the genjutsu through. But then later on, once the genjutsu is like not going to work in Shikamaru, it is more about the kind of difference in the way Shikamaru sees the world compared to Gengo, in that in that Shikamaru kind of to some extent like can see where he's coming from. In that, like, to some extent, yeah, it's definitely weird to think about that the shinobi are the ones who have the most power, but we're often forgotten. Like, we are the ones who won the war that saved everyone, but so many people outside of the hidden villages won't even know who they are. Even Naruto, who's super famous in the shinobi world, won't be known to like a lot of the people of just the normal villages of the world. And like, is that a good thing or what? But Shikamaru actually just wants it to eventually get to the stage where perhaps there's no real need for shinobi, because there won't be any conflict, and you can see some of his ideals kind of coming out here. But that until that day happens, the things that he does want to accomplish is making Naruto the Hokage, and him advising him, because he knows that can make a lot of stuff happen, and then of course training Mirai as well. Anything else I really want to add to here? There's one or two scenes between where Naruto talks to Shikamaru, and I quite liked them because it very much establishes that there is a very close friendship between the two, and that they very much have both agreed to this whole deal of like, I'm going to be Hokage, you're going to be my advisor, and they're both kind of pushing each other to be the best that they can be to make sure that goal absolutely happens. And at the end, when obviously even Naruto is kept out of the loop on this mission, and he does arrive, and basically Sakura explains that, yeah, Naruto effectively diffused the whole battle going on while you were taking out the leader, because he just arrived on scene and everyone was like, we don't want to fight Naruto, he ended the war. And he just completely diffused the whole situation. Then he kind of grabs Shikamaru and is just like, what were you thinking? I was so worried about you. To Shikamaru, who obviously was slightly injured, but not overly so during the battle. Yeah, that's really about all I wanted to say here. It is a good story. Like the Kakashi story, I don't think it's going to blow anyone away. Like, it's not got huge, crazy character development that's going to really change anyone's mind on anything. The villains aren't mind-blowing in their kind of ideology and stuff like that, like some of the ones from the actual show. But I think the villains here have a slight better point than the ones from Kakashi's story. And then Shikamaru, I think, just is a very interesting character just in how he thinks about things, which is very consistent throughout this book. But again, like the Kakashi story, I think it would make a really good 2-3 episodes in the anime, because I don't think you need to go much longer on that to tell this story. And I really do hope that when the anime gets to the end of the main story, it does focus on these. Like, we've already got, for the most part, the two Itachi books animated. I think they need to do these. I really hope these get animated, because some of the stuff in them so far has been really cool, and I'd love to see animated. Yeah, the next book is Sakura's story, which my copy has shipped. Should be here either tomorrow or on Friday. So the review probably won't be until next week, but just be aware that the book is coming out very, very soon, and I'm pretty excited for that one, to see what they do with a Sakura-focused story. Yeah, other than that, that has been the review for Naruto Shikamaru's story. Yeah, in the comments let me know what your thoughts were on the review, on the book. Other than that, thanks for watching, and bye.